Hello, everybody. We're back. Ed Video Web Show, as it's called so far. We're still looking for our name. It's our second show. We did our first live stream yesterday at 2 p.m., and we're every weekday at 2 p.m. With me here is Edie, my 9-year-old daughter, who's the co-producer of this show. We're doing this as a kind of an experiment to just mostly have fun. The main idea is we're going to talk to a lot of artists, in particular video artists, but also just other interesting people. We're just kind of doing it as a soft launch this week without a lot of publicity, just while we figure things out, get used to it, just get used to the technology, but also about being on a live stream, which we don't have a lot of experience with. So each day at 2 p.m. we'll go live. We don't know if we'll be on for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. We'll just see how it goes. Trying to keep it flexible, trying to keep it fun. So just in case you missed the show yesterday, I'm going to explain a few things. Edie is here helping with the tech. Co-hosting, co-producing. Also, you might have heard some keyboard music. You can go, and she's also doing the backdrops, drawing them each day and placing them up. It just fell down, but that's the kind of excitement you might expect on a live streamed show. Today we have a really special guest. Yesterday Edie was the guest to get going, and today we have a really special guest. You can see his name in the background. I'm going to introduce him in a minute, but we had some great responses to our work today, or yesterday, our show. Do you hear that? You know what that is? That is Edie's keyboard.
That just turned off.
And who was playing the live intro music?
Me.
Yeah. Well, Edie's also a very accomplished piano and keyboard player, and she's going to do the intro and exit music. So I'm delighted for that. We're just trying to make the show a little better each day as we learn a little bit better technically and with what we do as well. Got a few ideas for things. Generally, we're going to interview someone each day, every weekday at 2, and we're thinking about one day per week, doing something a little fun and non-visual art stuff. So we're thinking about maybe next week doing a thing where anyone can call in, and it's a
Video.
pet show and tell. We had some interest yesterday with some people with interesting pets, and maybe we can just talk to people about their pets, show off their pets, ask them questions about that. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube Live, you can comment. We have a few viewers and some comments. Thank you so much for your interaction, and you can ask questions of us or our guests. Before I do introduce our really special guest today, I just want to talk about a few upcoming guests. The schedule is filling in nicely, and there's a lot of other people I've been talking to and people I'd like to invite to participate as we evolve this show. Tomorrow, we have a great guest, Marty Young, who I've known for a long time, about 15 years, since she was a teenager and was interning at Ed Video. And in the last few years, she's come back here, and she's doing some amazing work with comedians, writing about comedy, getting her articles published in different publications, even on CBC. You can find her on Instagram at Young Modern Laughs. That's Young with an E, Younge, Young Modern Laughs. She's a really engaging and hilarious person. I'm really excited to have her on tomorrow. And I'm going to interview her about how to interview people, because I don't really know how to do that. On Friday, we have a guest, a friend of mine who lives in Mexico named Luis Javier Rodriguez. Met Luis a few times, worked with him. He's a great artist, curator, and facilitator of community events. Going to talk to him about some of his projects in a smaller city near Veracruz in Mexico called Cordoba. He's facilitated a ton of great things. We get some thoughts about what visual art is like in Mexico and what's going on there these days. Next week, Wednesday, we have Fez Stanton. Used to be called Live Action Fez in one of his music projects. Fez is a brilliant video person and artist doing all kinds of installations and events, live mixing, generative video. He's amazing. We might kind of geek out with him a bit and talk about video. And then lastly, confirmed, there's many more that are happening, but next Friday, April 17th, a friend of mine, artist Ivana Disder, will be here. Ivana's made some incredible video work. We're going to show some examples of that, some really high production, hilarious, cutting sort of videos. We'll talk to Ivana about some of her projects and what she's been up to. But today, we thought we would just start by going all out and getting one of the guests that I was hoping for, one of the first people I thought of when we were considering great guests, an old friend of mine that I've known for a really long time, since we were in high school, and someone I have amazing respect for. Let's just cut to some of his videos, and then we're going to introduce him. You can see his name in the background that Edie prepared. Nick DenBoer, kind of a genius of video, becoming a superstar. Can't wait to talk to him about some of the amazing projects he's done with some huge names. I bet you maybe you've seen some of his work before, and we'll talk about how he makes this incredible stuff that's kind of totally in his own style. Let's take a look at some of his work. Something like that. Let's watch that again. Sorry, I don't have VLC set up. Yep. Things like that. Oh.
Mama, back in black. Well, I'm back in black. Come on.
Yep, let's watch a few more. Just give you a little taste. Some little loops. Whoa.
You wanna play? You wanna play?
Oh yeah. All right, let's cut it. One more.
Sings a song you always sing, and speaks to me of flowers that will bloom again in the spring.
Okay, there's a little sample of Nick's work. Let's try to find him here. He is joining us on Skype. Let's go full screen on that. Oh my goodness. And let's see, are you there, Nick?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, indeed, there you are. How's it going today, Nick?
Fantastic. It's going great. How about you guys? Thanks for the flattering introduction there. Appreciate it.
All of that is true, and I could go on far more. Thank you for joining us at the last second, basically, this morning, agreeing to come on as our first external guest on this new project that Edie and I are working on.
It's an honor to be the first guy.
Well, we thought we'd just start with the big guns first, establish the show, and set a high benchmark for other guests to aspire to.
Wow, pressure's on.
Well,
Feeling the pressure.
Don't feel pressure. It's all casual. It's all fun. There's no money involved at all. So let's start. What's that?
No, nothing.
Okay, let's start at the beginning, Nick. Let's start.
Okay.
I want to do a
How
little
far back are we going?
backgrounder on each of our guests, and then get to know you, and then get into some of your newer projects and talk about some of the more in-depth ideas about them. So, I don't know. Tell us about maybe some of your very earliest experiences with art, or anything when you're young that made you think maybe you wanted to do something creative.
Ooh, I don't know how far back that goes. I guess. Well, I don't know. We went to high school together. I guess it was like early, art class days when I started messing around with stuff. But I guess, I don't know. I guess I kind of started feeling a bit of a niche doing like photo collage early on, like cutting up old magazines and stuff. When I first moved to Toronto, I used to go up Yonge Street to all the old bookstores and buy like multiples of the same magazine and cut them up and make like freaky characters by stretching people out by using, multiple stomachs and, doing all kinds of fun stuff like that. So that kind of started me out sort of remixing stuff from magazines, and that kind of bled into my video work later because I kind of started out messing around on YouTube doing weird video remixes and having fun kind of messing with, advertisements on TV and stuff like that. So recording stuff off the internet and putting it back out there. So that was kind of how I started out, and that kind of bled into commercial work later on. So that's kind of how it all started, dropping out of art college and messing around on YouTube and then eventually getting paid to do it. So that was kind of the early years. And that turned into 15 years of doing this stuff commercially now. So it's been kind of a crazy run. It's been fun.
That's wicked. So the very early days of video, I remember it myself, when you were briefly at OCAD and doing some stop motion animation and then shooting some stuff, and sometimes
I still have my He-Mans.
You still have your He-Mans? Let's see.
Still have my old He-Mans from the stop motion days. Hordak. That's a She-Ra, actually. That's not a He-Man, it's a She-Ra.
And so you're making some hilarious videos, maybe around the late 90s, early 2000s. And what did you learn then, or what I guess excited you to start doing video then?
I don't know. I guess it was just mostly at OCAD, especially. Everybody was kind of making videos to entertain one another. I remember those old pop chart video contests in the hallway at school and stuff like that. So I don't know. It was just kind of fun thing to do at school at the time. But then like 2005 rolled around, or 2006, whenever it was, and YouTube got huge, and then it became doing stuff for the internet. So making weird. I took a lot of my old VHS animations and stuff, put them on YouTube back in the day, and that kind of kicked things off. Then I remember I bought my first receiver that you put in your computer. I had like an old Pentium computer and a little like television receiver, and I started recording ads and weird, televangelists and stuff off of the airwaves, and then getting video onto my computer and starting to mess with those in the early days. So that was kind of a inspiring, fun project. So yeah, it kind of spawned from there back in the day.
Well,
but mostly just kind of messing around with friends and trying to make your buddies laugh, I guess, for the most part.
Well, I think you're successful at that. Can you tell us about maybe when you started working more with like appropriated footage and like using other people's footage? I mean, you always still shoot your own stuff, but like that's a really big part of what you're doing, like messing with stuff you can just get.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I guess, our mutual friend Aaron Zimmerman and I started this Smearballs blog back in the day, and we started just taking these infomercials and stuff and green screening ourselves into these videos early on. So that kind of got us some YouTube popularity early on, and that kind of was what got me some commercial gigs originally. So I guess the first big commercial job that I did was for Ken Block. He's like he was a founder of DC Shoes, and he's like a crazy race car driver. So he came to me with a project for his Gymkhana videos, which are like these crazy drift car videos where he drives his car sliding it sideways through buildings and just like insane stunt driving. So he asked me to remix his stunt car driving video, Gymkhana 2. It was probably one of the first really big popular ones. He's done like 1 million of them now, but at the time it was pretty huge. So I teamed up with my buddy Davey Force, who's another remix artist as well. He's a pretty awesome dude, and we're both kind of in the same world of messing with footage, and so we decided to team up and they made it an official DC Shoes spot on their YouTube channel. So it went from just doing like an underground remix for this guy to becoming a proper commercial spot. So that was kind of a cool foot in the door in the advertising world, getting to do whatever the hell I wanted with this existing footage. So more and more of that stuff started happening, and I always kept making videos on the side of my own, fun stuff, and then that later led into a web series I did in like 2012, I think. During like the Mitt Romney Obama election. I pitched Mondo Media like a web series. It was just kind of like remixing the weekly news during that election. So that turned into a web series, and then later on, they're like reappropriating stuff, but it's kind of cool to see the career trajectory, because that job ended up landing me a job on Conan O'Brien, which was pretty cool, doing more political satire stuff and same kind of stuff, messing with existing footage and then making clips for Conan's monologue. So yeah, it was kind of neat how it went from YouTube to television with the career path. So it's kind of cool.
Well, I was pretty impressed, to say the least, when you did land that job prepping spots for Conan's monologues. I couldn't believe it, actually. And could you tell us a little bit of the story and how you, sort of had the edge with that as far as Conan, being the only late night talk show host who was playing content of the day, and your typical day, and how you would get up and try to get the idea for a spot and make it as fast as you can.
Yeah, so the job started, I got this call out of the blue from this guy John Wooden, who's become a friend of mine, but he was the executive producer at Team Coco, and just emailed me out of the blue one day and was like, hey, want to pitch us some stuff? So I was like, great, yeah, for sure. So I started making little remixes and videos for just for Team Coco, just for the website. So I was just kind of messing around, making these cuts and making Conan sing and cutting similar words, doing kind of super cuts of his words and stuff. So I did that for the first little while, and then one day I just saw this Brad Pitt video of it was a Chanel No. 5 ad of Brad Pitt, being all pretentious, and it was all black and white with this like moody lighting and stuff. So I went down on my green screen and just shot my body. I'm not in as good a shape as Brad Pitt, so it's kind of funny. I was a little bit out of shape back then. I've since lost weight. I look great now, but he was. So I stuck my body on Brad Pitt's, or stuck Brad Pitt's head on my body, and then kind of redid it so he looks all ridiculous. I don't know if you have it there, but maybe you can play it. But that was the first video that I made that wasn't just like a remix of the show or anything, and I sent it to John over at Team Coco, and he basically took it, brought it to Conan's desk, and Conan loved it, and they put it on the air that night. So that kind of opened this door of me realizing I could get stuff on the show. So I just started pitching as many videos as I could. I tried to make like 3 or 4 videos a week and just send something every day if I could. And that was just my crazy backdoor onto the show. My boss over there would just bring his laptop over to Conan's desk, show it to him, and if he liked it, it would just make it on the air, like totally circumventing the writer's room and all the politics for a long time. But that also didn't last forever. It was kind of like, I'm sure I stepped on some toes, because there's writers in like, more than a dozen, like 15, 20 writers in the writer's room, all bouncing their ideas off the head writer, trying to get their idea on the show. And then if it gets the okay from the head writer, they got to go make it, bring it to a green screen, bring it to an editor, bring it to a VFX guy, and then get it on the air. So it's like this kind of cumbersome process in a giant committee atmosphere over there. And I was able just to like come up with an idea, do it on my green screen right next to my computer, slap something together in a few hours and send it off. And if it was good, it made it on the air. If it wasn't, it gets killed. It doesn't matter. So I've kind of even since then just thought like that way that most late night shows operate just isn't really conducive to the super fast production line that they have to achieve. Like you've got to get, we had the small window to get stuff in. There's rehearsal and then airtime, and you've got to get something in before rehearsal. The odd time, if you had something in after rehearsal, it could still squeeze onto the show if it was really good, but like you really have a small window to revise or change anything, and it's just kind of crazy. So I always thought it would be way better to have like 20 people who all didn't just know how to write jokes, but could also do videos and make funny stuff. Like having like 20 content creators instead of just people who had to write and then have this bottleneck at the production pipeline, because it's not like you need tons of expensive equipment to do this. You just need some computers. So I just think you could have a way more powerful team doing something like a late night show with just, a different structure. So I kind of think it's kind of interesting that I was able just to make so much stuff, and you know, even though I stepped on some toes, I'm sure everyone was still pretty happy with the situation because it was fun and made lots of cool stuff. So.
Well, maybe we'll take actually a look at your Conan Supercut, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah, let's just...
Yeah, I think the number 4 one was the one I'm most proud of. If you got that one.
That's the one I got queued up exactly. So let's go for it. So if you're just joining us, we're here with Nick DenBoer. He's Skyping in safely from his quarantine, where he normally would always be anyways without a pandemic, from his hidden headquarters somewhere in Toronto. You'll never find it, even if you try. We're talking about his
Top
video
secret.
work, and we're going to take a look at his supercut that he made, a compilation of some great content he made that was on the Conan O'Brien show. Join us here with Edie and me, Scott, and let's take a look at this. Hopefully the volume comes up. All right, that was amazing. Thank you, Nick.
Thank you.
That was great. So how did that work? Is that your own supercut, or Conan would also get you to make like a year-end sort of?
Yeah. So
video?
aside from the actual show and doing like monologue bits, every year I would try to boil down all 180 episodes or whatever, 180 hours of television down to like 1 5-minute clip or whatever that was. So it was always kind of like combing through, and I think I had 5 weeks to make that whole thing. So you spend like the first week just going through all the highlight clips, finding different themes and stuff that could work together, and start organizing these edits in the edit timeline, and then start making a music clip. Like my favorite stuff to do is kind of to make the musical video remixes, because you get to do the music, you get to do the edit, you get to do the sampling and the visual effects, and tie it all together into kind of a complicated, crazy mix of things. So that's my favorite kind of production. So I had a lot of fun with those every year. But yeah, it's a bit of a crazy, mind-bending thing, because you can't really plan it out. It all kind of happens on the timeline. So it's like, start making little edits and find audio samples that are cool, make them into music, jump into some music software and make some backing music for it, jump back into the visual effects software, make an interesting, composition out of it, and then jump back into your edit and just keep kind of building on it. So the project kind of reveals itself as you go. It's like, I don't know, I often compare it to like writing a song. Like very few, pop musicians will sit there and literally write out the annotation for some song. They write by jamming and messing around in Ableton or whatever, And that's kind of like how I make videos. It's like you kind of mess around until it reveals itself, especially with that style of video. So I kind of really like to be experimental on the timeline and have fun, and that's part of making it. Like I kind of hate projects when it's all planned out and you have to storyboard it and everything's like planned, and then you have to do it. And it's like, there's no more creativity to be had because it's all planned out, So I kind of like the creativity to be part of the process right to the end. So, and that's Conan Supercut is kind of like the epitome of that, where it's really not done until it's done, and then you take a look at it.
Right.
It's
right.
cool.
So one thing that I think really puts your work into its own class and really has a signature is that how you're really incorporating the audio and the visuals at the same time. Sometimes working with musicians, but also ready to make your own soundtrack. But the other part of it too is sort of your extreme degree of talent with generating 3D objects and animation. And you can turn the camera back on. Sorry, we're learning as we go here, Nick.
That's cool, man.
Our second show.
And being experimental, man, that's cool.
It's very experimental. I'm waiting to get a little audio mixer so I can better control the sound. I'm kind of
that's a good idea.
Trying to do it somewhere between the mixer and the different computers, and it can be a little confusing. That's why I had the echo in my voice before. I had 2 mics. So we're figuring it out.
I thought that was me. I turned my volume way down just in case. But it's a good thing you have your producer pal there.
I couldn't do it without her. Need these extra eyes on things. She's very intuitive about this stuff. She's of the video generation. But let's talk a little bit about like how you decided to really get involved in learning 3D modeling. I mean, how does that come out of like everything? I know in high school you're really into drafting, using AutoCAD, things like that,
Yeah,
things
a
that
little
a
bit.
lot of people weren't into, and then became really great at Photoshop a long time ago, like 2 decades ago. So is it sort of just a natural progression into getting into 3D stuff, or was it really
Yeah, I mean,
fueled more
like,
by like you needed to do this to realize your ideas?
I think it just kind of bled into it. Like, I mean, I used After Effects for a long time. Like, I still do every day, pretty much. But going from After Effects to having some 3D like camera projections and like adding some little 3D object rotations and stuff like that, I started kind of dipping my toes in just to make my After Effects stuff look cooler. Like adding some 3D objects and compositing them into my video compositions, and then eventually it just kind of took over when Octane came out, and all the kind of real-time-ish render engines just totally changed the game, because it used to be so slow, like watching things render, and like it was a huge pain in the butt. And now it's just you get these like instant um, you know realizations of your projects, these renders that are super fast, so you can do lighting and everything so much faster all of a sudden, that I just kind of took the dive. And now, instead of like using 3D stuff from Cinema 4D to like soup up my 2D projects, I'm kind of using After Effects to soup up my 3D projects at the end. It's kind of done a full flip from being dominant in 2D to like now fully diving into 3D, because it's just so much more fun and there's so much more to learn. I just feel kind of like, I don't know, it's hard for me just to want to do a video 2D project now, because it's just so much more fun to play in 3D. So I don't know. I got addicted to it, and now that's takes up most of my time.
I guess for anyone at home listening who's maybe already does video, or wants to get into it, when they see this kind of work that you're doing, I guess like could you give them some advice about how to approach it, but like really honest advice about the amount of work that it would
Oh
take,
yeah.
or sort of the mental approach to how you learned that?
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say. Some people ask me that sometimes, like on Instagram, people hit me up and be like, "Hey, I'm trying to learn. What software should I learn?" And I'm like, I don't know. It's so hard to say, because I feel like I've been doing it for so long now. It's like, okay, just like mess around with software for 15 years and you'll get there. Like it's not super easy to say. But I mean, I look back at my old stuff, and sometimes I didn't have much skill there in the early days, but I had some funny ideas. So there's some videos that I did early on that really are not technically good at all. Like bad. I just learned how to motion track, and there's like a party hat on somebody jittering, and it's not good at all. Like it's terrible, rudimentary, juvenile stuff. But it looked funny. So to me, it's still a good video because it looked funny and it was stupid, and I don't know, I like it. So sometimes it's not just about how much skill you have; it's just having a good idea and executing it. So. And that's always how I learned. I don't learn because it's like, oh, I'm going to sit and learn this software. I learn because I had an idea and I want to figure it out. So then I go and do tutorials and figure out the software because I have an idea that I need to learn. So I always start there with some kind of inspiration, and not just like, I'm going to take a course and learn a piece of software. It's like I learn it as I need to know it. So that's kind of how I've accumulated my knowledge. It maybe isn't the most efficient way to do it. Maybe I would have, now I'm starting to learn Houdini against my normal code. I'm actually sitting and doing a course, but I, find that I'm still cooking up projects along the way to learn my old way. But yeah, I think the best way to learn is just to cook up projects and figure it out, because then you learn all these things along the way, and it's kind of a fulfilling process. So I think that's my number one advice, is just to make projects for yourself and learn that way. Or it works for me. I mean, everyone learns differently, but that's my style.
Yes, indeed. Let's change gears a little. Let's talk about something a little more recent in the last few years that you've been working with. Definitely one of the world's biggest EDM stars. A very fascinating person, Deadmau5, who's actually
Yeah, yeah.
lives very close to where we are right now, near Guelph.
Yeah.
Local artist, even. So I'm curious, like maybe I'm going to cue that video up, and I think we'll watch it for Monophobia without the audio while we talk.
Sure.
But just talk about how you met Joel and how that came to be, and what that was like to work on his music videos and his famous live video projects that he uses with his cube when he performs live.
Yeah, it's kind of a weird coincidence, sort of, because I met him in two different ways almost at the same time. I'm friends with Kenny from Kenny versus Penny, Kenny Hotz. So him and I had worked together. I worked on his old show, Kenny versus Penny. And I made this film called The Chickening back in 2015 with my pal Davey. And Kenny had sent it to Joel, to Deadmau5, and like showed it to him. And I got hooked in an email loop about that. He really liked it, and we got introduced and, said, hey, we should work on something sometime, but never really went anywhere. But that's the first time I kind of got in contact with him. And then my friend Brian, VJ Tech, as a VJ in Los Angeles, was Deadmau5's VJ for a while, coincidentally, and he was at his place over where you guys are, near Guelph. And they called me up one day and just asked me to come over. Joel just was like, hey, it's Joel Zimmerman. And I'm like, who is this? I didn't recognize his name. And then I, clued in. But then he asked me to come over to his place. So I just got in my Jeep and I drove over there. And we kind of jammed on some tour visuals. And he needed a bunch of live visuals for his show at the Veld Music Festival here in Toronto. It's a humongous festival with huge, crazy, like 15 video screens or something insane like that. So I cooked up all these dancing animals with his mouse head. So it's like kind of a combination of 3D and 2D. I took some stock images of animals and made them dance, and then added a 3D heads with his floppy tongue, and did some fun stuff like that. So I did a whole bunch more stuff. I gave him I basically just worked for a month and made as much content as I could for him. And then after that, we kind of, I pitched him this music video. So you're watching Monophobia right now. I did an early version of this. I just bought a new camera, and I just shot my studio, like a little test of outside of my building, with a bunch of weird stuff out front. And I sent it to Joel, and I said, hey, we should do this at your mansion because you got a crazy place, and I can do all this, funny animation. He was like, yeah, sure. So I went over there, and we shot this whole just empty plates of his house. Like, it was the easiest music video shoot ever. We just went in all his different rooms and just around his property, and we just kind of hung out, and I just shot nothing, like no actors, no people, no anything. And then I just took it home and kind of chipped away and made this music video. And then his label and his whole team loved it, so they released it, and then they ordered another video, so I did a whole another video for him. So but he's a pretty impressive dude. I mean, I went to his place probably just before this virus stuff hit, and we hung out for a bit, and he was just perfecting his new crazy cube thing. He's got this DJ booth that's this robotic cube that rotates on several different axes, and it's it's all mapped with video. So we made all this content with it, and he's doing it all now in Touch Designer, so everything is processed in real time. And he's actually programmed it all himself. He's built this insanely complex program in Touch Designer. I just watch him working on it. I'm just like, how do you even keep track of that? Because there's so much video content, so much generated content in it. It's probably one of the biggest Touch Designer projects ever made. And he's built a custom rig that has all these slider controls on a touch screen that he can control his own live visual set from his booth while he's playing music. So that's pretty unheard of to do that stuff. So, and then on top of it, he's got all these insane music skills. The he's pretty impressive dude all around. So it's pretty cool to work with him.
Well, it's so hilarious. I think our stream may have ended or is interrupted because YouTube flagged it for copyright.
No.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That was the video.
Yeah, my goodness. I thought you maybe owned something. We'll see if it'll come back, and if not, wow. So they flagged that. Let me just see if I can reinstate it.
Yeah, maybe you can start it. I'm gonna get a glass of water.
Yeah, sure. Let's see. What's so funny is I researched this last night, and I saw that there could be a thing, but I didn't realize that it would just end the stream.
That is so weird that they do that. I guess they keep people from streaming sports games and movies that way, right?
I guess so, yeah. Huh. So I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe we'll just end it there, and I'll just like tell
Okay.
people like what happened. It's kind of
Yeah.
funny.
You can't start a new one, I guess, eh?
Let me just try quickly. Oh, maybe we're back. Maybe we're back.
Maybe ask.
I don't see it yet. Maybe I gotta refresh.
Um, let's see. It kind of looks like on my thing that we're back, but
Oh yeah.
are we
Oh
back?
no, is it live? Yeah. Well,
It's hard to say. Let me.
maybe. Mine says I'm live again.
Oh, okay.
Are we back?
My co-producer will ask our viewers.
Oh, Jen says we see you again.
Oh, okay,
Jenny
we're
Norton.
back. Okay, so let me just explain that to our viewers. Thanks for bearing with us, those who have. YouTube flagged my streaming of Nick's video for monophobia due to copyright infringement. Suppose that can happen. We're learning as we go. We're back. Our viewers are happy that we're back. All right. So I'll have to watch that in the future, or try
Yeah.
to rip the videos in advance, maybe.
Or you gotta flip them horizontal and time stretch them a little bit.
Exactly. Yeah, we can try all these tricks that others have figured out. We
Yeah.
will.
Well, you could. Can you not stream it straight on YouTube within the stream? I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I looked into it last night, and it did. I saw some stuff that said it could be flagged. I'm really just hoping we don't get a strike against our account and they shut us down. But that's
Uh-oh.
okay. We'll figure it. We can circumvent this, or we'll just go to do this on Vimeo, which is sort of like YouTube's classier sibling,
Yeah. Yeah.
except it buffers too much. Yeah. So let's wind it down. But I just want to ask you kind of like what you've been up to in the last few weeks, in the last months,
Well,
while
I signed all kinds of NDAs, so I'm not allowed to talk about it. No, I'm just kidding. I got a couple of music videos right now. Well, two of them are sort of like still in the planning phases, and one of them is a music video for a French band called the Naive New Beaters. That's probably all I can talk about right now, but I just started working on it. I'm pretty excited about it. I've been shooting some cool backplates in Toronto during the COVID crisis here of empty streets around Toronto. So it's kind of cool having these like slow driving shots on streets with no cars and stuff. So that's all I can really talk about right now, but it's I think it's going to be a cool video. I did a video for The Residents, a 360 like VR stereoscopic video for the band The Residents, who are really amazing. Old, been around since like the 60s art band, so it's been an honor to work with them. And yeah, we made some pretty cool video. It's not out yet. I don't even know if there's a release date yet, but I hope to announce that sometime this year. And yeah, it's been mostly music videos lately, to tell you the truth. That's the jam right now, because all the musicians are stuck and they can't play shows, so you might as well make some music videos, I guess, right?
That's true. So what any ideas about for our viewers, like any suggestions about what to do right now, or how to think, or how to be optimistic, or
I think,
if
I
they're
don't know,
using
just
video?
like stay away from the conspiracy theories, I'd say, is my number one piece of advice. Like, it's probably not the 5G that's causing this.
It's probably Zoom, I think.
It's not the 5G. I don't know. I'd say just learn how to do stuff. Be creative. Distract yourself with projects. Stay busy, and don't just keep refreshing your news feed and getting angry at the world. So, it's better just to make something.
I think that's good advice. That's exactly why Edie and I are here doing this show each day, to still keep
Exactly.
talking to people, to try to get ideas out in the world, try to, maybe even be a little distracted from what's going on, because it is pretty easy to just keep reading endless news stories.
True. I also, other than music videos, I have an album almost done.
Oh.
It's going to come out someday. I'm just like a couple songs short, and I have to find the time to finish it up. But I've got like nine songs done, and I think it's going to be pretty good. And so that'll probably be out as soon as I catch a break from these music videos. I'll do another few days of polishing things up and get that out there.
What genre is it in?
All of them.
Oh.
All the genre. No, I don't know. It's all like kind of remixy stuff, but there's some like slow jams and some. I like messing around a lot with acapellas and making these like super weird remixes, twisting songs into something totally different, and yeah, having some fun with that. There's a few instrumentals, and yeah, it's gonna be fun. I'm excited to get it out there.
That's awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear it. Maybe in the future, once I get my audio mixer and we're more than 2 shows into this experience, you should come back. Maybe we can talk about
sure.
your new album or new videos, or maybe focus in on a really specific topic. Maybe kind of tech geek out for some viewers who are into that. Yeah.
I'm down with that.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So again, I really, really want to appreciate you kind of jumping in at the last minute for kind of being a
My
guinea
pleasure.
pig.
It's great talking to you.
Anytime, definitely. I want you to stay safe. If you just stay in your making videos, you'll stay safe, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. You guys too.
Thanks so much. And thanks very much to all of our viewers. We had quite a few comments today.
Yeah.
And thanks for joining us. This will be archived on Ed Video Guelph YouTube channel forevermore. We'll see how they deal with our little bit of copyright infringement there. That's something we'll figure out. And yeah, Edie and I are here on our yet to be named new web show every weekday at 2 p.m. And
I don't think you should ever name it.
that's what we were talking about on the way here today. It's like maybe we'll just never name it. We'll just think of new names. So today it was called Let's Talk with Nick DenBoer. You can find Nick all over the internet. He's the kind of person that people hire because they know he can make a viral video for them. Not many people can say that. But his Instagram is amazing. It's at Smearballs. And you can find him on Facebook or Twitter or his website or wherever. Not a hard guy to track down online and see hours and hours of his work, as many millions, hundreds of millions, I would imagine by now have already. So thanks so much, Nick. We'll talk to you again sometime.
Awesome. Nice to see you guys. Thanks for having me. Honored to be your first guest.
Looking forward to seeing you IRL again when that's possible.
All right. See you guys later.
Thanks. We're just going to end with one of Nick's older show reels, okay?
A really talented video artist named Smearballs.
It's not a journey. Every journey ends, but we go on.
That's why this record has been really crucial to me personally.
So I want Sergeant Bergdahl home.
Hitler took the guns. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Castro took the guns. We will not relinquish them. Do you understand?
And the Oscar goes to Jennifer Lawrence.
Thank you so much to my fans.
Never.
No lingering effects any kind.
I'm starting to think Alex Trebek has been hosting that show too long. I'm afraid he's starting to lose it.
Nicknamed Vinegar Cock, Kenny Chesney withdrew his old, cruddy, drippy candlestick from the tail of the pet leopard. So now he's master of the mystic syrup. Put it in the freezer to harden it.
The choice isn't just between big government.
This is where we take